Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining. We're going to take just a couple minutes here and let some people come in. Again, thank you for joining today's best practice webinar, which we are titling Navigating Fitwell Certification Pathways, a continued conversation with EVORA. While we wait a few minutes and kind of let everyone, come in, join the call, how about we have some fun in the chat, if we can, and let's see who everyone's rooting for in the World Cup right now. Anyone have any investments in the games? Anyone watching? I'm not sure how. Oh, I see some. Okay, USA. Okay, I saw that victory last night, Amy. That's exciting. Oh, yes, England. Yesterday they had a good win too. I'm actually in Atlanta, so we hosted the England DR Congo game, and the city is just it's a time to be alive right now, everyone. I'm just gonna say that. It's so fun being in a host city for sure. Okay, Team Canada. Oh, there's Vicky. Hey, we got England, Morocco. Uh-huh. Any other countries? I'm not a huge soccer fan. I never played it growing up. I've just always watched the World Cup. It's kind of like the Olympics for me. It comes around every 4 years. I'm going to tune in. I don't have any skin in the game personally, but I'm just excited to see all the games. I watch them. I probably won't watch the one tonight that's at 11 p.m. because it's a little past my bedtime, but we'll see. We'll see. You never know. Brazil, of course, they're always a favorite. Yep, every year. Great. Okay. Any other World Cup exciting things? I don't know about you guys, but I'm also seeing some really fun things online. Just the most wholesome content of people coming to the States and experiencing the States for the first time. So that's been really fun to watch too. I personally think it's hilarious when you see a video of someone experiencing a Buc-ee's gas station for the first time ever. That is something else. If you've never seen one, if you don't know what it is, definitely take a chance to look it up online because man, that is even I get culture shock when I go into one of those. So all right. Okay. Looks like we've taken a couple of minutes here. Hopefully, we can have some more people join us, just kind of trickling in as they can. I know it's also probably lunch hour, maybe afternoon hour for some people. So we'll just keep things moving here. Okay. All right. Well, again, welcome everyone. As much as I personally would be thrilled to talk about the World Cup today and for a long period of time, we probably should turn towards the topic at hand and go ahead and get started with today's session. So let's move into that. Okay, so during today's session, our focus is to help organizations better understand the different Fitwell certification pathways that are available, how they support various business objectives, and how to determine the right approach for your portfolio assets and reporting goals. For those of you who don't know, or I haven't had the pleasure to meet yet, my name is Anna Chapelier, and I'm a senior relationship manager with the Fitwell team. As I said, I'm based out of Atlanta, Georgia, so very exciting World Cup times right now. I'm joined today by my two fantastic partners from EVORA. We've got Lavinia Talika and Bobana Milenkovic. Would you ladies please take a moment to introduce yourselves to our audience?
Hi everyone, I'm Lavinia, a sustainability consultant at Evora. We are a sustainability consultancy team for real asset investors, owners, and managers. And since 2011, we've been helping clients across the entire real estate investment lifecycle, reduce risk, enhance asset and fund value, and strengthen investor confidence through strategic advisory, technical delivery, managed services, marketing leading data solutions. And in my role, I work closely with investors, owners, and managers to improve the sustainability performance of their assets and portfolios with a particular focus on ESG reporting and health and well-being certifications, including Fitwell. What can I say? I'm really pleased to be here today to share some of the lessons we've learned from supporting clients with both Fitwel Star Certification and Fitwel Scale Performance, and hopefully provide some practical insights that you can take away and apply to your own portfolios.
Thank you, Lavinia. My name is Bobana Milenkovic. I've been working in EVORA since 2022. I'm a senior sustainability consultant, and one of my roles is, of course, supporting clients achieving their STAR certification. And we are doing so from their very beginning, from their gap assessment until they get their certification. I'm really also very pleased to be here and to share my experience with you all.
Wonderful. Well, we are so happy you both decided to join us here today. And thank you in advance on behalf of everyone for just sharing your expertise with all of us. As I briefly mentioned earlier, throughout today's discussion, we're going to compare both Fitwel Star Certification and the Fitwel Scale Certification, or as you'll probably hear me call it a lot, FSP. And we'll explore portfolio-wide deficiencies as well. We'll discuss global adoption trends, which hopefully will help you leave with a clear understanding of which pathway might be the right direction for your organization. So to start us off, actually, we're going to put up a poll for everyone to just kind of gain a better understanding of the use of health and well-being certifications in the market right now. So if you have a second, please take a chance to answer that while we move into the next section. Okay. So, to start us off, let's first take a little bit of a step back and talk about why these conversations are becoming increasingly important. Across the industry, we're seeing growing expectations from investors, tenants, and residents, and even employees that are specifically around health, well-being, and resilience. We're also seeing growing evidence connecting healthy buildings to asset performance, to tenant satisfaction, and long-term value creation. This isn't just about doing the right thing anymore. Increasingly, we're actually seeing evidence that healthier buildings are creating measurable business value. So, ladies, do either of you happen to see similarities or differences from your end?
Yeah, I completely agree with what you just said. I think one of the biggest challenges we are seeing is that clients are moving beyond simply reporting ESG information. They're asking for more and more, and that is actually how they can demonstrate real performance and measurable outcomes. So health and social value, they're really it seems like they're naturally more difficult to quantify than carbon, of course. And we all know that you can measure carbon in tons of CO2. That's easy. People are doing that. It's very usual. But measuring how a building improves well-being or supports its occupants is much more complex. And this is probably why such a structured framework like Fitwel is becoming more and more valuable for everybody.
Perfect. And excellent points, Babana. So thanks for sharing your perspective on that. I think one question that we hear quite frequently is how health actually creates value. So hopefully we've all seen last year's Cambridge study that found that Fitwel certified office buildings are achieving rental premiums of approximately 4.6 to 4.8%, which I think demonstrates that health performance is increasingly translating into business performance. So if you haven't had a chance to read that study, I highly recommend it. I believe Janelle just shared it in the chat with everyone. So when you get a chance, click through that, do some research. It's a really great study. So I just encourage everyone to use that link that she just shared for everyone that's here today. So if we keep that study in mind, let's turn to our EVORA team here and see if they can share some light from their perspective. Lavinia, why don't we start with you? From your perspective, can you share how you're seeing ESG, health, even well-being conversations, just in general, evolve amongst your clients?
Of course, from our perspective at Evora, that's exactly the shift we're seeing as well. ESG conversations are moving beyond reporting and focusing more and more on performance. And while clients still care about disclosure and meeting reporting requirements, they are now asking a much more important question: what measurable outcomes are we actually creating? And at the same time, we're seeing growing reporting fatigue. Organizations want to spend less time checking boxes and more time demonstrating real impact. That's where frameworks like Fitwel become particularly valuable because they help translate broad health and well-being goals into practical actions, measurable outcomes, and credible evidence that supports both investor reporting and long-term asset performance. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that makes complete sense. And I think it even further explains some of the trends that we're seeing from our end too. So, yeah. Bobena, what about some of the challenges that you're seeing from clients when it comes to adding value through health?
Yeah, there are definitely some challenges, and maybe one of them I already mentioned. Probably it's harder to quantify than, for example, carbon. Um, so we know that for carbon, we have metrics, units, and methodologies. You can measure energy use, you can measure emissions and reductions in a very clear way, already familiar way. But when we talk about health and well-being, community benefit, social impact, the outcomes are more often human, they're more local, they're more qualitative, and that's a bit difficult to measure. So that doesn't mean they're less important. Definitely, they're very important, and they are in many ways directly linked to how people experience a building or a place. So that does mean that clients need our support. Basically, they need our support mainly in defining what good looks like, which indicators should track, for example, and how to evidence progress in a credible way. And that's where certifications like Fitwel help very much. A second challenge that we noticed is data collection. Of course, so the information needed to understand health and social value is not always sitting somewhere neatly in a system. This information normally involves different things like occupier feedback, like community engagement, like building performance data, like accessibility, amenity use, maybe also local economic impact. And so the key is helping clients move from broad ambition to measurable impact, to support them in these things. This means that we can, through certifications like Fitwel, help them identify the right KPIs, that we can help them setting baselines and building a reporting approach that shows not only what has been delivered, but why it matters actually. And a third challenge we've noticed is demonstrating value in a way that is meaningful to all the stakeholders, to investors, to occupiers, to communities. So when this is done well, health and social value can become a much stronger part of asset performance, resilience of an asset, and of course, long-term value creation. So those are the three biggest noticeable challenges we've observed so far.
I think that is super helpful to shed some light on those challenges. So thank you for sharing that. It's nice to know that it's kind of a challenge that we all face across the board, and it's not just some of us. So again, thank you. So to kind of summarize here, what I'm hearing from both of you is that something we hear every single day from our clients as well. Essentially, organizations are being asked to demonstrate these measurable health outcomes that align with an evolving framework, reporting framework. They're asked to scale initiatives across portfolios, and they all need to be able to do so with limited time and limited resources, which for sure is going to be a challenge. So hopefully there are some solutions out there. And then let's keep that background context in mind and talk about how organizations can actually take action to address those challenges. One of the things that we hear most often, at least, is that every organization is at a different stage of its journey. Some are looking to just certify a flagship asset or, a series of assets. Some are trying to benchmark an entire portfolio, and others are just trying to better understand how and where health and well-being fit into their broader ESG strategy. So that's exactly why we at Fitwel offer multiple pathways here. So, as some of you may know, we offer 2 certification pathways depending on your organizational goals, both of which are using our updated version, which is the V3 Fitwel standard. Whichever pathway you choose to pursue, you'll be able to certify your project with confidence, hopefully, and that will be backed by the latest and most up-to-date research, health research that's on the market. And additionally, we offer both pathways for both existing and new construction assets, which allows flexibility to use whatever fits the various project's goals that you have. So the Fitwel Star certification focuses specifically on certifying one individual asset at a time. This is often used for differentiation and tenant-facing value, and it provides a comprehensive, again, asset level evaluation of health, well-being strategies across design and operations, and is valid for 3 years upon the receipt of your certification. To flip to the other side of this coin, the FSP scale certification operates at the portfolio level and can help your organization benchmark and scale health strategies more consistently across multiple assets. So this is a smaller certification when viewed at the asset level, but it is meant to target larger portfolios all at once, and therefore it's also going to be valid for just 1 year. So we've worked really closely with the EVORA team on the development and the launch of this certification pathway specifically, and that is to create the flexibility for organizations managing different asset types and different levels of implementation. So let's dive in a little bit further and talk specifically about STAR certification first, which Bhavana, if you can speak to this, that would be great. So to ask you a question first, can you share from your perspective where you've been able to see the Fitwel Star certification create the most value for your clients?
Yeah, sure. So Star certification creates the most value when clients are looking to turn health and well-being from an ambition into something visible, measurable, and credible. This is what we've seen so far. And one of the area where we see this clearly is leasing. So, for example, occupiers are asking more questions about the quality of the spaces they move into, and they're not only interested in environmental perspective, which was probably very popular, let's say, but they are also asking about comfort, about well-being, about amenities, and the overall experience for their people. So certification gives asset owners a clear way to demonstrate that these issues have been considered and addressed, definitely. Then the second topic is the market differentiation. Definitely in competitive markets, certified assets can stand out, because it gives investors and tenants and stakeholders a recognized benchmark. It's visible, something that it's tangible somehow. So it shows that the asset is not only performing operationally, but it's also supporting people who use it every day. Then we often see this being particularly valuable for flagship assets. For those buildings, certification can help communicate leadership, support brand positioning, and provide a strong story around health, well-being, and user experience. Very, very important for flagship assets. Another important area is occupant engagement. Very important. We've noticed recently the certification process can help clients better understand what occupiers value, basically, by occupant engagement. They can also figure out where improvements can be made by this feedback and how to create spaces that support healthier and more positive outcomes. So definitely experience shows that the value is not just the certification itself. It is the way it helps clients evidence performance. Again, how they straighten their asset story and create places that people genuinely want to spend time in. That's the most important, probably, of all of them.
I love that you point that out. And I think it's so interesting that we have seen that shift lately, how it's not just about the certification, it's not just about the environmental aspect, but people now care about how these spaces are affecting their daily lives. So it really does help provide insight that someone might need in order to make that decision on, how to add value to their portfolio or for an individual asset. And I understand that this approach isn't going to be great for everyone, which again is why we have other certification pathways as well to turn to. So let's talk about FSP. And I'm going to invite Lavinia back to talk about the Fitwel Scale certification. So with the support of the EVORA team, together, we originally created this certification pathway for organizations that want to understand or benchmark or improve social performance across multiple assets rather than just focusing on that singular asset at a time. So, Lavinia, same question to you. Can you share from your perspective what you've been able to see the FSP certification create, where, not what, where you've been able to see it create the most value for your clients?
Yes, of course. I would say I would start off by saying that from our experience, clients see the greatest value from FSP when they're looking beyond individual buildings and thinking strategically about an entire portfolio. And rather than asking, how is this one asset performing? They're asking now, how do we benchmark health and well-being across all of our all over our assets, and where should we focus our efforts? And that's exactly what FSP enables, because it provides a consistent framework for measuring social performance across multiple assets, helping clients identify gaps, prioritize improvements, and demonstrate progress over time. We also see significant value from an investor reporting perspective. Many organizations need to demonstrate measurable progress on health, well-being, and social value, and FSP provides a structured, evidence-based approach that creates consistency across an entire portfolio, like I said. Perhaps most importantly, it changes the conversation rather than treating health and well-being as a one-off certification exercise. Clients begin managing it as part of their wider asset management and ESG strategy. And once clients reach that stage, the next question becomes, how can we do this efficiently across dozens or even hundreds of assets? And that's exactly where portfolio-wide strategies come in, because they help organizations scale this approach much more efficiently across large portfolios. And I know Anna is going to tell us a bit more about what they are and how they work in a bit next.
I am so glad you brought that up. You just knew I was waiting to talk about it.
Yeah.
So we are always aiming for improvement here, which is we really try to place a strong emphasis on how to streamline processes for our clients to ensure that they're spending less time documenting projects or even evaluating applicability, the works. So what we've developed is some platform integration tools that hopefully, fingers crossed, build towards us providing that level of efficiency for everyone. So, as Lavinia brought up, and as some of you probably know or hopefully know, we now offer a platform efficiency called Portfolio-Wide Strategies, or PWS, which allows teams to document scalable health strategies without repeating their work. Historically, that's one of the biggest challenges that we've at least experienced with the certification programs in general, is just that repetition. Organizations often have the same policies, the same programs, and standards implemented across dozens or all of their assets, hundreds of assets at a time. And yet they're struggling having to document those every single time repeatedly. So that's why we developed portfolio-wide strategies. The concept is hopefully simple. You document it once and you can apply it many times as you can. And organizations can submit their qualifying policies, their programs, like I said. And then once they receive the approval for that, they can then leverage that across, again, however many assets in your portfolio you want to have them applied to. So the result is greater consistency, it's reduced administrative burden, and it's hopefully a much faster pace to scaling that certification. So, Babana, from an implementation perspective, where do you see the biggest benefit of PWS or portfolio-wide strategies for clients using a STAR certification?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And I think we've noticed with several of our clients that this is a great motivational tool for clients to pursue more STAR certifications for their assets. So like you explained, some clients who have same policies and same procedures and programs already certified by using portfolio-wide strategies, they can then that basically can give them a head start, and they are very aware of this. And then that's why they decide to pursue another Star certification to qualify with another asset. So this is definitely something we've seen. Depending on the scorecard they use, this means that they can have a head start with having up to fourth of the scorecard already completed. This is a really great head start for everybody, and that's a great advantage for the client. And of course, it helps us streamline our processes.
Oh, absolutely. That's a huge advantage, again, both for you and your clients to have those strategies already completed and that much of the scorecard even completed. So that's great. Lavinia, what about you? Can you let us know how you benefited from portfolio-wide strategies, or even how you've seen it add efficiency for, your FSP certifications for you and your clients?
Yeah, that's probably one of the biggest advantages we have seen in practice. Many of our clients have common policies, procedures, and programs that apply across multiple assets. And without portfolio-wide strategies, they would need to upload the same evidence repeatedly for each and every certification, which can become very time-consuming if you think about it. And PWS removes a lot of that duplication. As you said, once a qualifying strategy has been reviewed and approved, it can be applied across multiple assets rather than recreating the same documentation each time. And from our perspective, that doesn't just save time, it also improves consistency across a portfolio. Everyone is working from the same approved approach, making the submission process much smoother and reducing the risk of inconsistencies between assets. It also allows us to spend less time managing documentation and more time working with clients on improving the actual performance of their buildings, which is where we can add the most value, actually. So,
That's a huge advantage for sure. So thank you. I
yeah.
think that it helps to hear it, from someone that's implemented it, how it actually can affect the day to day. So to know that you can kind of spend less time on the documentation and move towards let's create more value. That's huge. So hopefully it helps everyone across the board that starts to use the product. Okay, so now that we've discussed the two different certification pathways and we've discussed portfolio-wide strategies and expressed even how those efficiencies can assist you, the question now remains, which pathway do we choose? So that answer, of course, is neither pathway is inherently going to be better than the other. The right choice is entirely going to depend on what you are trying to accomplish. So for organizations that want to showcase health and well-being performance for a specific asset, or support leasing efforts, or even differentiate just a flagship property, that's where we recommend Star certification often being the right fit. If your organization is, however, focused on benchmarking performance across multiple portfolios or multiple assets, you're supporting investor reporting, or you're trying to create consistency at scale, then of course FSP might be the stronger solution for you. So I guess a simple way to think about it is that the star value or star certification is going to drive depth. The FSP certification is going to drive scale. And it's important to note that this isn't an either or decision at all. In fact, many organizations can start with one pathway and expand into the other as their program matures and grows. So, when it comes to EVORA specifically, when a client comes to you guys and says, I don't know where to start, what do I do? What factors do you typically evaluate? Bobana, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, sure. Sure. Well, the key difference is that clients use Star certification to showcase the performance of a specific asset. And on the other hand, FSP is used much more as a strategic tool across portfolio, something that you already mentioned. So when clients come to EVORA, we start by understanding what they're trying to achieve, basically. So if their goal is to position a flagship asset or to support leasing, then we would recommend to go with Star. certification, and if they're looking to benchmark performance, support investor reporting on or maybe manage health and well-being constantly across multiple assets, then we would recommend to use FSP we see it as a better fit in that case. So what clients value most about FSP is that it turns broad health and well-being ambitions into practical and measurable actions. And in practice, basically, many organizations end up using both pathways. Also, you mentioned that because they solve different challenges for them and they complement each other very well. So, for example, they can start with FSP, and then some of the assets will pop up probably, and they will see that it qualifies very well for Star certification, and then they will decide to pursue that too.
Wonderful. And yeah, thank you for pointing that out. Just in case it hasn't been clear yet, you can use both, which I think is super great and it can add value in so many extra areas. So thank you again for bringing that little fact to the light so that everyone could hear it. So I do think it's also important to point out that there are going to be other advantages to using Fitwel aside from what we've already discussed here today. And a big advantage, an additional one, is that we do have global applicability. So while health outcomes are universal, the drivers behind them can vary depending on the market. You never know. So you guys both work with clients globally. Lavinia, what do you see? What are some of the differences that you see across various regions?
I would start, I could say that, for example, across Europe, we're definitely seeing increasing pressure from investors and reporting frameworks to move beyond commitments and demonstrate measurable outcomes, not just intentions. Regulations and frameworks such as SFDR have elevated the importance of social performance. Clients are looking for credible, evidence-based ways to understand and communicate how their assets support occupant well-being and resilience. I would also add that there is a growing recognition that health and social value are directly connected to risk management, asset performance, and long-term value creation. And of course, as a result, many organizations are moving beyond individual initiatives and looking for a portfolio-wide approach that provide consistency, benchmarking, and reporting capabilities. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Great point. So, makes perfect sense to me. Hopefully, it does to everyone else here today. But Benna, what about you? What are some of the regions, some of the other regions that you're seeing?
Yeah. So in the Middle East, we are seeing a great momentum around quality of life, wellness, and resilience. Definitely, health is often being used um, as integrated directly into large-scale development strategies and maybe also national visions. Developers are looking for ways to create communities and buildings that support long-term well-being and livability. This is in the Middle East. And then across APAC, there's also strong interest in health-related outcomes, particularly around indoor environmental quality, air quality, occupant experience, and resilience. While these drivers may differ by markets, many organizations are ultimately trying to solve similar challenges, basically. They want to solve a challenge how to create healthier environments, they want to demonstrate impact, and they want to respond to growing expectations from tenants, residents, and investors.
That's so interesting because the drivers, they seem to vary, but it seems overall that the desired outcomes are similar across the globe. So it looks like organizations everywhere are just looking for practical, measurable ways to improve health and resilience, and of course, long-term performance. So this is exactly where we feel like Fitwell's like frameworks like Fitwell can help improve and provide consistency across different markets and various portfolios. So, how can Evora help? As we wrap up today's discussion, we want to thank everyone first and foremost for who's been hanging in there with us. We've talked a lot about pathways and options for organizations that are just beginning the process, and I understand that can be overwhelming. So, Lavinia, Bobana, when clients first come to you, can you speak to some of the additional benefits that they have for working with you?
Yeah, I could start. When clients first come to Evora, we do not start with the certification. We start by understanding what they are trying to achieve. Of course, every client is different. Some want to certify a flagship asset, others are looking to benchmark an entire portfolio, support investor reporting, strengthen their wider ESG strategy. And once we understand those objectives, we can definitely recommend the pathway that best fits their needs, whether that's Star Certification, FSP, or quite often a combination of both. Bobana, would you like to add something on this, maybe?
Yeah, sure. So exactly when this direction is agreed, let's say with the client, that's where we help clients turn the strategy into delivery. Basically, we then start with assessing current performance, we identify gaps and quick wins. We develop an efficient evidence collection strategy and support the certification process from start to finish. Because we worked with so many different asset types and portfolios, we can also help streamline the process. We can help reduce duplication and also make the whole certification process as efficient as possible. Our aim is simply not to help clients achieve certification. That's not the only goal. We are aiming to help them create a practical program that supports healthier buildings while delivering long-term business value. And the benefits for clients that they are not navigating the certification process alone, definitely, when we support them. So with working with Evora, it provides clients access to direct Fitwel expertise, preferential pricing, and of course, a shorter review timeline. Yeah, I mentioned our team works across assets and funds and portfolios, so we can provide practical guidance that reflects both the technical requirements of certification and also the wider objectives, their wider business objectives behind it.
Wow, okay, sign me up. Sounds like working with you guys is a dream. And that's really helpful to understand for some of the clients out there. So, just to continue kind of sharing what you guys can help, once you've helped a client choose which pathway to go down, how do you actually decide what interventions should be prioritized? Lavinia, what do you think?
That's a really important question because this is where the conversation changes. Once we have established that FSP is the right pathway, we stop asking which certification should we choose and start asking how do we build the right strategy. As a sustainability consultant, this is probably where I spend most of my time with clients. We do not start by looking at the score. We start by understanding the portfolio, looking at the asset type, the level of operational control, where each asset sits in its investment life cycle, and most importantly, what the client is trying to achieve. This framework, have Fitwel framework, and all the framework actually, the entire one, helps guide those conversations. For example, if a client is acquiring new assets or looking at transport connectivity and access to services, then location may become the priority. If they are already operational and want practical improvements that can be implemented relatively quickly, we often focus on operations and performance. If improvement, tenant experience, retention, or well-being is a key objective, then amenities or programming and evaluation can have a significant impact by helping organizations engage with occupiers and measure outcomes and demonstrate continuous improvement. On the other hand, if an asset is undergoing refurbishment or a major capital investment, design becomes the ideal opportunity to integrate health and well-being before decisions become much more costly to change. So, while the strongest FSP strategies often combine all five areas shown here, the balance will always depend on the client's priorities. There isn't like a single blueprint that works for every portfolio, unfortunately. And for us, success isn't about achieving the highest possible score. It's about helping clients identify the interventions that will create the greatest value for their assets, their portfolios, and most importantly, for the people who use those spaces every day. Mm.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. I love it. It sounds great. Again, like working with you guys would be a dream. So thank you both so much. And I'm sure it's really helpful for folks to hear just how much you offer them and how much value you bring to the table when they come to you with these important questions that they have about their assets and their portfolios. Well, it looks like we've reached the end of our conversation. How did that happen so fast? So we're going to open it up to some questions if everyone has some today. Feel free to put them in the Q&A section or in the chat box. I can look and see if we've already had some maybe come through that I might have missed while we were chatting. It's always, you get so invested in these conversations that sometimes I forget to look. Um, Okay, so one of the questions I'm actually seeing here is, can I start with an FSP certification and transition to a star later? And yes, is the answer. Absolutely. We've actually developed that certification so that it would be a nice stepping stone if you do choose to use it that way. I think it was either Bobana or Lavinia mentioned earlier. It is a smaller certification, so it starts on a subset of strategies. You can apply it across multiple assets within the portfolio. And then if you look at a certain asset and say, I really want to elevate this one, you can take those strategies that you've already implemented, already worked on through the FSP certification, and then translate that to a larger star certification later on. So yes, resounding yes, please do. We'd love to help you with it. We love to see everyone taking that next initiative and using both certifications at one asset. Um, let's see. Any other questions coming through? Okay, how much effort should I expect on my part? Lavinia, Bobana, do either of you want to kind of jump in and maybe answer this one for our person here?
Of course, we can. If I may, that's probably one of the questions that we're asked most often. The honest answer is that it depends on your starting point. Most organizations already have many of the policies, processes, and initiatives in place. They just haven't brought everything together in one framework. And our role is to simplify that process, identify what already exists, highlight any gaps, and of course help them focus on the areas that they will have to have the greatest impact. So while there is some effort involved, it's often much less than clients initially expect. And I would say it's more of a journey than a one-off project. I mean, you don't need to have everything in place like in one day, so don't worry. It's all come together. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. I think that's so helpful to understand because I know some people get overwhelmed with the process. Um, another question that I saw come in, and Bobana, we can pass this one to you. What would someone need to get started with the process?
Yeah, just lot of assets. uh, yeah. Well, for starts, they would probably would be, I think, very useful to have a vision what they want to accomplish. You know, what their primary goal. Let's say if they have a portfolio with senior housing, then maybe the most important thing for them would be to have really good health and well-being in place. And there is probably where I would see, depending on their portfolio, would they go to the Star Certification or the FSP? But first thing first is to analyze and define what's their goal. What do they want to achieve? Is it health and well-being? Is it some environmental aspects, or their community engagement? So those type of things.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you. I think that is so important to establish that. What is your goal? Just first and foremost, where do you want to start? So that makes
Yeah.
perfect sense. So thank you. I know we're at time, or else I would continue to answer questions all day. But if you do have any questions, please continue to reach out to us. We're happy to help. I do want to say quickly thank you to everyone who joined us today. Whether you're focused on one asset or, again, you're working on hundreds of them, the goal is the same. We just want to make sure that we're creating healthier spaces that support people, that strengthen portfolios, and deliver that measurable health outcome. So, we're going to share a couple links here. In the chat for you. And then again, this conversation has been recorded. We will be sharing this as well afterwards with everyone, and we'll post it on our Help Center if you ever want to come back and just reignite the conversation again. A very, very large thank you to both Lavinia and Bobana for joining me today. I cannot express my thanks enough. I love spending time with you guys, and it's so helpful to hear your expertise shared with everyone. So I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their day. And for those of you who are here in the States, I wish you all a happy and safe 4th of July weekend. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.